Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another great episode of Three Guys Gun Chat. It is myself, KS Gun Guy, and special guest Nolan Outdoors. So
What's
great
up, everybody?
to have him with us. I'm sorry, go ahead, Nolan.
I was just saying hi. Go ahead.
Yeah, great to have him on with us. We're very excited to have him back. 1776 is on assignment this evening. So, and just to let you know, had a little bit of internet issue right before the chat began, and my internet went down, so I'm running this chat off my hotspot on my phone. So hopefully everything stays together. But I didn't want to switch back over to my internet. I think I got it up, but I'm just going to roll with this and hopefully everything's good. So these two guys will be monitoring comments. So if we miss any, just please put the little @ sign like we've asked, and hopefully we'll try to answer as many as we can. So how are you guys doing? Go ahead, Nolan.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking to the chat. No, I'm doing good. Back from a long break, and it's good to be back and interacting with everybody again, and it's fun.
Yeah, well, and go ahead, KS.
I was just going to say, you have certainly been missed, and people have been asking about you for a long time. So it's great to have you back, and it's fun to see you come out of the gate with some good-looking revolvers, kind of pick up right where you left off. And yeah, we were talking a little bit before the chat got going, and I think all of us, anybody who's a content creator of any sort, it doesn't have to be YouTube, but anything that you're real heavily involved in, and it isn't necessarily your primary job, it's something you really enjoy. Every once in a while, you just kind of want to take a break. I mean, you just do, right? And it sort of kind of re-energizes you a little bit, I hope. And so, we look forward to a lot of great content from you again. And it's just a lot of fun to have you back. So
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, we definitely welcome you. And howdy, everybody out there. Happy Wednesday night.
Hump day. Yeah. And prior to the chat, and I noticed this when Nolan did his video, I made a comment to him. I was like, man, you're looking pretty slim. So do you want to let the good news out to everyone?
Yeah. As most of you probably know who've been following the chats a while back, Big Johnson sort of kicked it off, talking about weight loss and getting in shape and stuff like that. So I jumped on board, and a few months into it, maybe 6 months or so, and lost 35 pounds so far. Went from 205 to 170. So making good progress.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you are definitely, I can tell it in the video. I was like, damn, looks like he's lost a couple of pant sizes and probably a shirt size or so.
Yes, I had to buy new pants.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Congratulations.
I appreciate it.
So, and like I said, I can't monitor the comments. I wish I could, but I don't want this thing to get messed up. So do we have any great questions or anything that anybody wants us to jump into? And we've got 42 on the chat, which is awesome. We appreciate y'all so much. Thumbs up. And then also, Nolan, if you'll, and probably most everyone is subscribed to Nolan, but Nolan, if you'll leave some comments in there, people please jump over and subscribe to him and subscribe to the other people in chat. We definitely appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you.
We do have our first question. This is from Pistol Pete. It says, have you ever had a squib load with a pistol? Had my second on Saturday with the CZP-01.
Wow. What about you, Nolan?
I have not. I've never experienced. I have a few buddies around here. They had a Taurus, one of the G2 pistols. He bought it new, took it to the range, and had a squib load, and the range guy there helped him get it out. So I guess that's really the only case that I've somewhat been around. But as far as me personally, no.
Go ahead, KS.
I have not. I've seen a couple on videos, but I've never experienced one, nor have I been anywhere near anyone who has, thankfully.
I had the Shadow 2, and I was at the farm, and someone was shooting it, and we had a little issue, and I ended up back with it, and I aimed it at the ground. I knew what was going to happen, and it definitely went off. It went into the dirt, but I have told everybody, here's about what's going to happen, and it did. So I had to slingshot it, and it sent the round off finally, and it went straight through the dirt. So, but I was very safe about it, and I knew it was going to happen, and it did. So, but that's the only thing I've ever had. I've never had one stuck in there where I had to jam it out with the, with the dowel rod or anything like that. I've seen it done. Of course, Coda Boy had the issue with his Shadow 2, but I've never experienced it like that. Thank goodness.
Yeah, he had that case blow up, didn't he?
Yeah, it was it could have been really bad, and his gun was saved, which I was really grateful about. And thinking back on it, if that would have been a polymer gun, it might have not walked away from that one.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
I mean,
I don't think it would have.
Got to say something about those CZs, man. They are tanks. So
Yeah, they
it
are.
definitely held together very well. So and plus, you can replace a damn gun, but you can't replace your hands or your face or your eyes or any of that kind of stuff. So I'm just glad it was okay for him.
Oh yeah.
Any more great questions before we get into some stuff we have this evening?
Not actually. Yes. Frank is asking Nolan, what was the rifle that you put on Instagram?
Actually, I haven't shown that one in a video yet. It is an MMP Sport 2. I think I don't remember if I picked that up during my 2-month off time or if it was right before it or whatever, because I don't think you guys have seen it, but it is an MMP Sport 2 that I picked up at my local gun shop, Shots and Shells. They were having a special on them. I've heard nothing but great things about them, so I decided to pick one up and, put some accessories here and there on it. And kind of made it a go-to rifle, if you will. Got a Holosun red dot on it and things, but it's a MMP Sport 2.
Nice.
Is it the optics ready or is it the A2 front?
No, it's got the A2 front.
Okay. Yeah, because I grabbed the optics ready one back quite a while ago as kind of a stashed rifle. And yeah, they're great rifles. I had the original one, the MMP Sport, just the regular one. And man, I ran everything through it and it never hiccuped once. And the cool thing about them is they have a lifetime warranty on them through Smith & Wesson. So anything goes wrong with it, you just send it back in and they send you a shipping label. You don't pay a dime. So
yeah, I've had good luck with Smith & Wesson's customer service. I had a 1522, the first one that I had, and had some issues with it. Called them up, sent it in, and I had it back within the same week. I think they got it on Monday. I had it back on Friday. It was just excellent service.
Yeah, it is. I actually had 2 issues with Smith & Wesson. Well, 3. One was a 9mm M&P, the full size, and I had a piece of the feed ramp crack off. And that was back like, gosh, 6 or 7 years ago, maybe longer. It was one of their original ones. And they said that it was a case hardening issue and they put a new feed ramp in it. They put a new barrel in it. They did a bunch of updates to it for nothing. And they said that it didn't need it. They just wanted to do it for me. And they even sent me a free mag on that. And then the Bodyguard 380, you had to push the button to load the mag. And this was their original M&P without the Crimson Trace. And they had to put a new barrel in it and a new magazine release free of charge. And then I had the original 22, like that was made by Walther, the big one.
Yeah.
And they had to take it in. And then they had to send it to Walther to have it fixed. And I was like, screw that. It took forever. So when I got it back, it was fixed. But when I got it back, I got rid of it. So, but they do have great customer service. Can't beat that.
Yes, they do.
Any other questions before we jump into one of the big questions I think that I wanted to talk about this evening?
I think we're clear for now.
Yeah, I don't think I see any other ones.
I just kind of had this thing brought up, and I've been thinking about it for a while, but we've never really talked about it. And it's, where do people keep their guns? Does everyone that own guns have gun safes, or do they hide them under the bed, or do they hide them in closets? Do they hide them in file cabinets? Where does everyone put their guns? Only in a safe? Now, if you have one pistol, I can understand maybe just throwing it in a nightstand. What do people do? So I was just curious. I wanted to ask the subscribers and see kind of if they all have safes or what they do with their weapons and where they put them. And I guess that's going to pertain a lot to if you have children and things like that. What are y'all's opinions on that?
Want me to go first?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I guess when I first got into guns, I bought a few handguns and just had them in a nightstand or, somewhere where my son couldn't get to them. But I actually built my first gun cabinet, if you will, just as a deterrent, I guess, and used it for a while. But then, of course, moved on to an actual safe. I got a Liberty safe, a big, 48 gun. It's not the biggest one. It's decent size. I got one of those. And then I do have a small bedside one as well that I keep a pistol in. And then, of course, when I lay down, I'll get the pistol out and then put it up in the morning, things like that. So I do use a safe. Didn't at the beginning, but do now.
Okay. What about you, KS?
So I've got my main safe, and that's in my old video room. Actually, I don't video in there anymore. And then I actually have a second safe in there. Big Johnson, I'm not sure you saw that second safe. It's a smaller one, but and it's kind of hidden. And that was actually the first safe that I bought prior to a official big old honking safe. So I've got those down there, but obviously, you can't get to those in a situation if something goes bump in the night or what have you. So I have a few other guns very strategically and secretively placed in primary spots that I know I can get to, but other people I don't think would ever think to look. I mean, my house is pretty heavily alarmed and heavily locked up, and I've got a police station about 600 feet from my house. So I feel pretty good in this neighborhood, and some older neighbors that are always around, and they're kind of snoopy. So they keep a pretty good eye on the house, and I'm all for an older set of neighbors that like to snoop a little bit. I am perfectly happy with that. So that, that seems to do just fine by me. I mean, if you don't have a safe or something like that, so long as they're I suppose accessible to you, but safely stored and in a place where other people couldn't get to them. And if you have kids in the house, I would encourage a safe or some sort of locking mechanism, that sort of thing. But it's interesting to see some of the different comments. Some people have been saying, "I won't tell you," which I don't blame at all. Yeah. Others have said safes or lock boxes or under the mattress. Bald says he keeps them all under the mattress. So Bald, we're headed over right now. So a lot of different options here.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's, when I very, very first started, when I was way younger, I did, like when I first had my first couple of handguns and rifles and a couple of shotguns, I didn't have a safe. I put the rifles and shotguns, hidden to where they weren't seen, and pistols, in various areas. But as your collection grows, you definitely have to get safes because they just take up way too much space. And so, yes, I definitely have safes, and they're good to have. And if you're going to get one, I recommend getting one that people can't throw on their back and just walk out of the room, or put on a standard dolly and walk out of the room, because that's the last thing you need is everything out the door in the back of a pickup truck driving down the road. So because a lot of the guys are professionals at it. They know exactly what they're doing, and some don't.
That's true.
What other questions do we have?
Working on it.
Okay. Come on. You're supposed to be my moderator.
I know, right? Well, actually, this is for Nolan. Have you been ATV riding yet this summer?
I have not. I've got 2 4-wheelers with 2 dead batteries and haven't brought myself to spend the several $100s to put new batteries in them yet.
Do you not keep trickle chargers on them?
I do. They're both about 6 years old, so they were at the end of their life. So they're needed to be replaced. I just haven't wanted to spend a couple $100s on them yet.
Yeah. Understand? Yeah, trickle chargers are definitely a good investment. If people don't have them, they're definitely a necessity. Anything that's going to sit or that's seasonal, definitely want to throw some trickle chargers, or hell, just pull the battery out of it, and don't put it on concrete, but just pull the battery out of it and put it on wood or something. So that way it will be fresh and good, huh?
Oh, I just said I completely agree with you. Trickle chargers will save you.
Now, since we kind of went on the safe issue, what about you were talking about your nightstand gun. I believe we probably all have them, and the subscribers probably have them also. On your nightstand gun, okay, of course we have a mag that's loaded in there. Do you have other guns in other rooms if you had to move to another room, or how do you have the placement set up, or how do you have it kind of strategically set up if something were to happen with multiple people breaking into your home, not just one?
I guess, what I do is I've got, right now it's been my PO7 that I keep next to the bedside. I keep it with 1 spare mag next to it. And I guess while I'm home, I always have the safe unlocked and ready to go into it. And it's just in the other room. So I guess if I had to, I could go into the other room and get another gun. But I guess that's really not strategic in any way. But it is unlocked and I have access to it if I could get to it. But I guess if I'm confined to one room, I'm stuck with the one pistol that I keep in there.
Okay. What about you, KS?
So no, I've got a couple of strategically placed, but then the layout of my house, and again, you've been to my house. Where I spend the majority of my time basically is almost a bottleneck. So by the time, especially if I'm, sitting at home watching TV or something like that, and I hear something go bump, I can get back even to the furthest away room possible before somebody can get into the house. And of course, have a firearm readily available if needed, but I do have one closer to me if needed. So, and I almost always have a gun out. I'm always fiddling with something, and it's usually whatever the newest gun is that I've got and that I'm kind of getting used to for videos and just trying to kind of get to know. I mean, I'm sure all of us at one time or another have sat around and dry fired and just kind of handled a firearm and just, pointed it a lot just to kind of see how things feel and see what you like about it, what you don't like about it. And I do that. That's part of my, I guess, cerebral process before I make videos, just so I can feel a little bit more connected. So I almost always have a gun or maybe even two in front of me. There are definitely options around to keep myself and whomever safe.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, what I do is I have one bedside gun with a loaded extended mag, and then around the house for that specific gun, I have magazines in the other rooms. So if I were ever in that particular room and something happened, or I had to unload a mag, I do have another mag right there readily available in any of the rooms. So that definitely helps, also. If the gun went down, I do have a backup gun in a different room, but I would have to get to it. So, but that's kind of what I do. And then, even if I'm sitting around, like you said, watching TV or even just out in the yard, I mean, I'm carrying a gun, because you never know what the hell could happen. You could be out in the front yard and some goofball just walk up. I mean, if you're not paying attention. So, when people go, oh, I'm in the front yard working in the garden, I don't need a gun. Yeah, you might, or if a dog starts running at you and is going to attack you, you don't ever know what you'd have to do with it. So it's always good to have it.
So I have to interrupt you for a moment. Rabbi gave you a very nice donation, a $20 donation to the channel.
Holy mackerel.
Which
Wow.
is fantastic. So beers all around on Rabbi. And
Awesome.
he did include a question with that. It says, do you guys think biometric safes are reliable enough to trust our lives to?
Go ahead, Nolan.
I've actually never used one. I guess based off of what I've heard from other people, majority of what I've seen say that they are pretty reliable and trustworthy to get into. But I guess I've also seen some that say it stops working or it doesn't work reliably and stuff like that. So I don't know. I guess I'm kind of back and forth on it. But again, I don't have any personal experience with them. So take that for what it's worth.
Go ahead, KS.
I don't have one. So again, I don't have any personal experience, although I've kind of played around with them at like Bass Pro or whatever. I love the concept of them. And in terms of speed, I think they're fantastic, but I'm a little bit old school and I sort of like things being a little bit more non-electrical. And so I prefer a key or a combination lock, that sort of thing. And I know a lot of people moved away from that, but I have a little bit more faith, I guess, in that. Now that means under a stressful situation, if I, for some reason, had to get into my safe to protect myself, that would take a second or two. You got to make sure you got the combination just right. And my safe can be a little bit finicky. So that may not necessarily be the smartest thing. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm sort of on the fence on that, I guess.
Okay, well, I'll be the outstanding guy, and I will say, hell no. I will not trust them. And the only reason being is because in security rooms that I've had to go into before, they've actually had a biometric setup, and it has failed. And where I'm looking at it with a gun or a situation where I have to get something to save my life, say I have fought an intruder hand to hand or whatever, and I have blood on my hands, or I have a cut finger, or I have something crazy, and I've got to place it on a pad, and it's not going to work, and I'm out on that. Or if in the ones that I had to use, you had to look into them and use your fingers. And, it was always like, oh, if your eyes were itchy, or it was just so freaking finicky. And it was a great system. I mean, it definitely was like Fort Knox, but it's just, it's just too much hassle. And I go back to Nolan saying, with his safe, have it at the ready to where you can just kick the door, if you had to get in. And now if you have younger children, I can understand, and if you're going to leave, then you want to make sure that that's not at the ready. But, that's the way I look at it. I'm definitely old school also. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just, it hasn't proven to me yet with what I've experienced so far.
I wonder the other thing, if I can interject for a moment. So like for me, I'm single. I'm the only person here. And if for some reason something happened to me, if I was in a car wreck and I died or whatever, I've got my family, and then a very close friend here who has access to everything in the house. I mean, I've known him forever. We were in a band together for a very long time. He's a very close friend. And I want to make sure that that the right people can get access to the things that they need to get access to, and the biometric, especially if that was the only way. Now, usually they have some sort of key backup or whatever, but it's one more thing for those people to have to deal with. And so, although I want to make it challenging for people, I don't necessarily want to make it near impossible. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, he could cut your finger off and take it and put on the safe if he had to.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, that's a very valid point. That's why I just, I don't want to make it that difficult if something were to happen, because you're right. If something happened to me and my wife had to access it, she couldn't get into something like that. So fully understand.
I never thought of that either. Nobody has the combination of mind. They'd have to cut into it.
Yeah. Well, you can share it. You can just text it to us and we'll make sure we take care of it for you. But, no, it's, and then, as far as like, if something were to happen, do we have any questions that I've missed? And if y'all are just jumped on, my internet's messed up. So I'm doing this whole chat on my phone, or excuse me, it's powered by my, my Bluetooth or whatever you want to call it. So I can't access the comments, so I'm sorry about that. But I was thinking about, like, if something were to happen and you had to grab stuff and go. Okay, now we have safes and we have stuff in them, but do you have stuff at the ready? Like, do you carry go bags? Do you have things like that you could just grab and go? Or would it be like I gotta pack everything? What about you, Nolan?
Recently I picked up a Pelican 1750, the bigger one.
Okay.
And I've got it all cut out for an AR, my Scorpion, the P07, and mags to go along with it. And a lot of times I'll keep that packed up because I can lock it up, and they're not as secure as a safe, of course, but you can lock them up and make it a deterrent. So I do have that, and I keep that loaded up a lot of the time. Sometimes if we're going away for a while, I'll put it back in the safe. But yeah, I do have the 1750 most of the time loaded up and ready to go.
Okay. What about you, KS?
I do. I have two bags, and it's nothing extraordinary. I mean, it's not like chock full of med packs and all that kind of stuff. I mean, for me, it's more like if my house catches fire and I have to jump out my bedroom window or something like that. And none of my bedrooms are on the first floor or anything. I mean, if I need to bail out of the house or something, I want to make sure I at least have something to survive for a day. Sorry, Tundra's harassing me, and I appreciate that about you, Tundra. He's sending me text messages. Attaboy. But so I think about something like that. I think about being able to get out of the house and survive for a day. So clothes. I do have a little bit of bottled water and a couple of Cliff Bars and that sort of thing. I mean, it's more basic survival. It's not necessarily the zombies are coming or anything like that. It's not that design, and I probably should at some point in time. But really, it's just to be able to survive. And then down in my workroom, which is just about concrete lined and everything. And of course, around here, tornadoes are a thing, although not very often. I make sure that I've got several changes of clothes and food and water and a lot of basic essentials down there. So if I had to camp out down there for a couple of days before somebody dug me out or anything like that, I want to make sure that I can survive. So it's extremely basic.
Yeah. In the truck, I have a go bag that has medical. It has, like flares. It has a blanket. It has stuff like that in it. I definitely have a magazine fully loaded with I probably have like 6 different magazines for 6 different guns because I don't know what I might have on me at that time. I've got AR mags and stuff loaded too, and then I have extra ammo. So that's just in the truck, period. Now it's not to where somebody can just see it, but it is in the truck. And then I do have a go bag at home also that's ready. It's got a pistol, it's got my Scorpion in it, and loaded magazines. So, I'm ready to go there too. But can we ever be perfectly set up? Who knows? It kind of depends on what the situation might be. And I do have food and water in both of these also. So, and one of them is one of those big brick bars. I don't know if y'all have ever seen them. They're like this big and they're like that thick. And supposedly it has a ton of calories in it. You can live on it, chew on this thing for like 3 or 4 days or something. It's crazy.
So I was reading through the comments a little bit, and this goes to show how all of us have gotten to know each other very well over time. I mean, a lot of you guys have been following the channel for a long period of time, and Rabbi was saying it's a single mission ready. I could imagine KS yelling to the fireman, "Save my porn." I will have you know that it's all digitally backed up, sir. It's all in the cloud, so there is no worry about any of that whatsoever. I thank you very much. I think ahead.
But that stuff if it's in the cloud, it can get sent out to all your family members. So
if I'm dead, I don't care. Whatever,
they'll be like, "Our son was a what?"
That'd be attaboy.
Yeah. You definitely want them to come visit you. Hey, but yeah, I mean, I think all of those are really valid points. Am I like a hardcore prepper? Do I have 25 and 30 days worth of food? No, I'm not that extreme, and there's nothing wrong with that. I guess I should say I'm not that prepared for that length of time. Because I think if something really went down, and that's where I've been beat up, and I'm sure you guys have too. Like, why do you have so many guns and all this other stuff? Man, I'm telling you what, if it really came down to SHTF, what's better to have, guns and ammo? You can trade that for anything you need. So, that's the way I look at it, because paper money and credit cards are going to be worthless. So, and you always want a mechanic and a medic and things like that in your group, because that's going to help you out right there. And I think I'm pretty well rounded with a lot of that stuff and people that I'm around.
That's good. So we have had some other questions, and it kind of goes along with some of the stuff that we're talking about here. There's a lot of conversation about the porn also. So, well, whatever. I guess we should go to PornTube or whatever it's called. But there was another question a little bit earlier, and I can't remember. I think it was Vanessa Kitty that asked it. Was talking about transporting ammo and whether the ammo needs to be in it, like locked up in a separate box, or how. And I guess that we could kind of expand upon this question a little bit. How does everybody have to transport guns and ammo where you are? I mean, are there any laws about it? Can you just leave everything draped wherever you want on the dashboard or whatever? Do you have to separate everything and lock it up and strip it down and paint it pink, or what do you have to do?
Go ahead, Nolan.
Here in Indiana, I don't think there is any restrictions on how you can carry it. I think you can just, however you feel like doing it. It don't have to be in separate boxes, or it doesn't have to be, the gun in here, the ammo in the trunk, or anything like that. We more or less have, we're free to do as we please, I guess. So no, I don't think we have any restrictions.
But you, KS?
No, not really. I mean, in terms of being thoughtful about being pulled over or anything like that, I mean, I would encourage people around here to keep stuff in the trunk, and then, tell the police officer, depending on the situation, that you've got some firearms with you or whatever. I mean, obviously around here, everything's pretty pro 2A. And generally speaking, if you're honest with the officer, and like me, I've got tinted windows on my car. I mean, I would always roll my windows all down and, just make sure that it's extremely easy for the officer. I'm not hiding anything. I've got a couple of firearms in the car. I've got my CCL. I won't move a muscle until you tell me to, and all that usual kind of stuff. Sometimes that's brownie points, and it might get you out of a ticket or whatever, which is great. But there are no restrictions. I mean, I have on occasion, if I'm going up to center fire real quick to have a gun worked on or something like that, I'll throw it in the seat beside me in just a little soft case or something like that. Now it won't be loaded or anything because I know I'm going to have it worked on, but there really isn't any restriction per se. You don't have to lock up ammo separate or anything like that.
You mean you don't just turn on your phone and go Facebook Live and say, "Am I being detained? Am I being detained?"
No, not yet. Not yet.
Yeah, I don't. But I mean, in Texas, we're all good, and trust me, I have buddies who just have boxes of ammo thrown up on their dashboard. Now, I'm not that guy, but I do have ammo in my truck. And as far as ammo cases and ammo, cans and stuff, I have tons of those. But a thing that I've been doing for a long time, if you follow my channel way back, I've been doing this forever, and people don't really think about it. But
And we lost it.
Ammo everywhere. I eat a lot of cashews and stuff like that, so I get these little cheesy containers, but they got little handles on them and lids, and then your Gatorade bottles are perfect. So what I do is I put the make of the ammo, I cut the box off, and on the back of that, it's actually got the date and everything that it was made, and that's 22 ammo. And then there's one loaded, so it's full, and that's got 40 cal in it. And I've got tons of these things, and that way I can just grab this and then go to a match or whatever I need to do. And these things hold a crap load of ammo. So that's one little thing, and it's a hell of a lot easier to wag that around than a freaking metal can of ammo. So, but I do have that stored up. And also in these things, I did a thing where you put a silica bag in it, and then I put the cap on it really tight. I put tape around it, and then I buried it in my backyard for like 2 weeks with the water sprinklers and took it out, and this ammo ran perfect. So, I think it's how you kind of prep it too. So those little containers work well. And we've got 70 viewers. Hope all you guys and ladies are popping that thumbs up button. We appreciate it.
Okay, so let's see here. REB is asking if anything, the larger guns are easier to carry appendix. I might be crazy, but when you have a bit of a gut, big guns keep gut held back. Little guns seem like they are going to pop out. Do you agree?
Go ahead, Nolan.
I guess I've never been able to get appendix carry to work for me. And I even revisited it, here recently because I've lost a little bit of weight, and I still couldn't get it to work. I just couldn't find it comfortable. It felt like almost what he was saying, that wanted to poke the gun out no matter how I was moving. I might need to just try it more and try to get used to it, but it's just never really worked out well for me. But but I kind of agree. It always feels like I'm pushing the gun out, but that's just me.
What about you, KS?
I don't. I've tried appendix carry and I can't stand it. I don't like the feeling of it. I understand some of the benefits in terms of draw, speed of draw, which is great, but I don't find it very comfortable at all. And I'll admit, I'm a little bit. There's a tiny bit of concern in terms of the firearm going off, and not much. I mean, it would be that off chance. I mean, you can be very careful. You can watch what you're doing and everything, but if for some reason something got caught in there or whatever, obviously the gun could go off, and you risk either damaging the family or your femoral artery or whatever it happens to be. And I don't find the pros to outweigh the cons in my mind. And that's just me. I mean, I watch other people do it and I see it be successful. I know Poe does it. Big Johnson, you've been doing it. A lot of people have, and I get it. I prefer a 3 o'clock carry. That's always been very comfortable for me. Right on the hip, which seems really weird. You'd think that'd be uncomfortable. I find it to be the most comfortable. And when I'm walking, I can be as normal walking as I possibly can, because I know my arm, if I really need to know it's there or check on anything, I can be very discreet about it without it hindering anything that I do and making people wonder what's going on. So so that seems to work for me.
Yeah, and I mean that's a really good point. Back when I had, let's say, a 4-pack, I used to appendix carry all the time, and then as I got larger, I moved it to the 430 because the 3 o'clock just doesn't work for me. Well, now since I've cut some weight, I've cut 30 pounds, I have gone back to appendix carry. And the main thing now, this is a full-size 34 gun, and it's set up for appendix carry. And this is a Harry's holster. And this little this little thing right here actually pushes the grip back in. And this actually is your belt line. You can see your belt goes, let me try to hold this. This is loaded, but the belt goes straight through here and actually pushes this back in so this doesn't stick out. And then on the back, Harry has a wedge. And if you can see it from this angle, the wedge pushes on your lower and pushes the gun back into you. So this is a must. I love this, but this is basically a Glock 19X, but it's got a comp on it. And so it does equal a 34. And, you know, I just did a little alert today and I carried this today and there was no issue at all. I prefer a larger gun. And, you know, this part down here, you don't feel it. It's not like it's jamming, you know, because you don't have it right on your junk. You know, it's like it's your 12. I've got it on the right side of where my center button would be on my jeans or my shorts. But it's just something to get used to. I think the more you practice with it, the more you carry it, it becomes second nature. But if it's not the appendix, it's the 430 for me. But I like to have the gun in the front. What I've noticed more when I had it at the 430, you know, people would bump into me at the grocery store and they'd hit their elbow on my gun and then they would look at me kind of weird or be like, well, what's that? You know, so, and when it's in the front, you know, it drapes down. I've never had anybody ask me. Now, when you bend over, it's not super most comfortable thing, but in a vehicle, it actually just sits right up. And I've had a bunch of subscribers, and I'm probably going to do a video on it of how I drive with it. And I can just reach down, pop it right out, go to work if I had to. I don't have to bend over and reach back and pull any of that. I just pull it straight up. So it just works for me. And you're right. It's not made for everybody.
And I guess when I did revisit it and try it, I actually have one of those claws for my Harry's holster, and I didn't put it back on. I might give that a shot and try it again.
Yeah, the claw is very, very important. You know, this pushes on your belt. Your belt is right here, which pushes this in. That's why it was poking out, because you didn't have this in.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I might give that a shot and give it another go.
Yeah, you throw that on there, and I'm telling you, the way that he sets up his holsters for all of the things you can build on it. I mean, Harry's holsters, and not just because not because he sends them in for T&E and stuff like that, but they are incredible holsters. And I've got a box of holsters I could show you that would blow your mind. I mean, it's so many holsters that I've tried, and his are the best because of the adjustment to set it up the way you, as an individual, want it.
Yeah, I might have to give that a shot.
Hey, so a couple things real quick. Big Johnson, will you send an invite to 17, please? Appreciate that. And so 17 is done from assignment, apparently. So that is awesome. And while he's doing that, we did have a question a little while ago from Jeff England, kind of a question. And Jeff, I'm going to take sort of a writer's liberty a little bit with this. You said a comp on a 9mm. So I hopefully you don't mind. I'm going to expand on this a little bit. But what do you guys think about compensated or even ported guns, especially for carry? We'll say specifically for carry. What do you guys think of that?
No, go ahead, Nolan.
For me, I don't know if I've ever shot one that had a compensator added to it. I'm trying to think. I don't think I have. I have shot that 500 Smith & Wesson that had, you know, was ported, built into it, stuff like that. And it did seem like it helped. But I guess as far as carry goes, I can't really speak on it because I don't know if I've ever shot one with one.
What about you, KS?
Well, you guys know I'm a big fan of the 19C, so that's going to be a compensated firearm. So it's got, I say that loosely. It's really got ports on it, so they're actually burrowed into the barrel and the slide. I like that quite a bit. But I've said even in the video on that firearm, and still firmly believe this, it's not a gun that I would carry without a standard barrel in it, and I'm not worried about things like the flash or anything like that. I know some people have made a fuss about that. That doesn't bother me a bit, especially because I'm more likely to be out during the day than the night. And even at night, most people have proven that that's really not a thing. However, for me, it's the noise because there is a pretty exceptional amount of percussion that comes back your way with a ported firearm. Now, admittedly, I've never shot a compensated firearm. I mean, I kind of know the physical differences between the two, the physics that take place between the two, and I don't know that one is necessarily better than the other. They just kind of do it differently, but both of which are, you know, controlling the gases to one degree or another. But in terms of taking it to the range and just kind of plinking around with it, there's nothing more fun. The ported, compensated, whatever, it is a ton of fun. Carry for me, no, it's not an option.
I look at it this way, and I see the 17's on. Are you able to, you set up? Can't hear you. But the way that I feel about it, like if you've got a Smith & Wesson 500, you know, that's nothing that I would carry. But I'll tell you what, it will bring down the recoil big time, and you're going to have a hell of a flash from the front of that thing. But I look at it this way. I've kind of rethought about this, and I've got the P09 with a comp on it. I've now got this 19X with a comp on it. And I tell you what, when you shoot them, now granted, with the 115 grain, and I've done the 115 grain test, and then I did the 124 and 147 grain, it makes a difference with the 124 and the 147, not so much with the 115. But I look at it this way. If I can get 15 shots on you super quick, and I can hit you in a zone about this big versus possibly having muzzle rise with speed, that's what I want to do. I want that thing to be a laser. And if it's going to help in any way, shape, or form, I'm for it. That's just my opinion. You know, some people don't want to carry that, or they think it's gaudy, or they think it's more for looks. But tell you what, under speed, it does make a hell of a difference. It really does. So that's my opinion. And I've got a video on the P09 where I was shooting it. And I mean, from like 10 yards, I was putting shots in, you know, I think it's like 5 or 10 shots or 5 shots. And I mean, literally they're that big. So it even impressed myself how accurate that gun was with that on there. Not that it wasn't accurate before, but it really did help.
All right, I think you can.
Yep, you're good.
Hello. What's up, Nolan?
Hey, what's going on, buddy?
Good to see you, bud.
Hey, same here.
So 17, what do you think about comped guns?
Like competition guns?
No,
Compensated.
compensated pistols.
Compensated guns? Well, I wouldn't know because I can't own them up here. So they're nice to look at. I don't know. I don't really see necessarily the big push to it, especially for a 9mm. I would think if you're shooting a bigger caliber, then yes. But, you know, I mean, you watch videos of people who have them compensated and all, you know, just jacked up on just about every modification, and the gun shoots amazingly flat. So obviously that's the advantage. But I don't see necessarily the reason why on a 9mm. Now, carry a 45, 10mm. Yeah, absolutely. That'd be awesome. But and again, I don't have access to that stuff. So
yeah, and a lot of people that run them, they'll run like plus P load versus one with a comp on it. So I just, you know, my statement was if I can get that thing to shoot like a laser and I can put 10 shots on a head quick, I'm all for it.
yeah, why not? I mean, if you can do it, go for it. You know, that's what I'm always a big proponent for, you know, adding whatever modification you want. You know, if you feel like you can handle it, put it on the gun. Period.
Exactly. And, you know, again, like I've always said, it's 31 flavors. Whatever works for you, by all means. If you got to shoot with a teacup grip and you're freaking knocking holes in bullseyes, do it. You know, whatever works for you.
Yeah, whatever makes you happy, guys.
So what's been going on?
I was at my son's moving up day. I don't want to talk too much about that because I know it's a gun chat and I don't want to, you know, screw with anybody here because I'm late to the party. But yeah, my son moved up, man. He's in middle school next year. So it was a huge, just amazing, you know, to see this kid who was a baby. It feels like just yesterday. And now he's turning into a middle schooler. But he did receive an award from Donald Trump.
Sweet.
So I guess Donald Trump isn't racist after all. Apparently, he won the Gold Star for academic excellence, the Presidential Gold Star, and then got the State of New York Comptroller Award for academic excellence, and also a physical fitness award because he's like a stud. So very proud of him.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Good kid.
That's
Plus, if he doesn't do what I tell him to do, a boot goes right up his ass. So
Nice.
Well, just wait. There'll be a day where, you know, he might be changing your diaper, so you got to watch that.
yeah, well, that's how you got to raise them nowadays.
Yeah.
Firm.
Oh yeah, no, that's true. That's true. Yep. But yeah, they definitely grew up quick. I remember when mine was tiny and not anymore.
Nope. It's like yesterday.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's about it. I've been.
Hey, we were talking about, you know, before you were, and this is good to have your input on this. What do you feel, or how are, and I know that you're still, are you still appendix carrying the shield when you can?
Shield, I have attempted to carry that 19X, and it just isn't working for me. There's just something about it, man. I don't dig it at all.
Okay.
You know, and I watch these guys carry appendix, and they're, you know, no offense to anybody out there, but it looks like a lot of these guys who are doing it weigh maybe 105 pounds and probably could be like Abercrombie and Fitch models. So I don't fit that category. I'm a pretty, I'm a big guy. I'm not fat. I'm big. I'm a big guy. I'm 220, 6'2". It doesn't work for me with a gun that big. The shield is different. It's small. It's thin. I'm sure the P365 would carry like a dream, but I just can't do it. It's not comfortable.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to the way that you're built too. I've got a really long torso too, so I guess if you had really long legs and a short torso or something to that effect, it's going to affect it a little differently. But I mean, I'm 6'3", 240, so and I can carry a full size gun appendix. And I don't know if you caught up today, but I carried the 19X with the comp on it, so it's in the 34 holster, so it's a long boy, and I didn't have any issues with it at all. So I guess it's just something to experiment with. And definitely if you're trying it at home and you're new to it, don't have the gun loaded,
so
draw.
Apparently a guy, Rabbi Sheckelstein, is saying I'm a little fat. Maybe it's because I'm not eating kosher. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. But, again, you're our brown brothers, so we appreciate you.
I don't think it's personal.
That's awesome. On that note, we do have another question out there. Has anyone tried a CCW light on a gun? So light specifically for a carry gun.
Go ahead, Nolan.
I guess I have not. I do have that little O light that would probably work good for it, but I guess I don't have a holster for any of my carry guns that accept a light. So I guess I don't have any experience doing it. I normally just slap the light on the gun, at night for the bedside duty, but I've never carried with one.
What about you, KS?
No, for carry, not. And I mean, you guys know a lot of times my carry is usually a smaller gun, single stack gun, that sort of thing, because I wear relatively light clothes. So I dress for the occasion, but even when I'm carrying a MMP 2.0 compact, I just don't. And then also holster availability becomes an issue. Like Nolan, I mean, I've got this right now. It's one of my home defense guns, and it's got the Valkyrie on it. It's just a Glock 19. I like the weapon lights for home defense. I think they're spot on. I think they're fantastic, and they serve a great purpose. For carry, again, I'm out more in the day than I am at night. So practicality dictates that I don't really need a light quite as often. And some people may scoff at that a little bit, but no, I don't. I try and be as light and comfortable as I possibly can.
What about you, 17?
I have that Valkyrie. Excellent light. I like the fact that it fits on just any gun that you have, and I just don't have a holster. I don't have a holster to carry it. But if I did, I most certainly would use it.
You were echoing real bad.
Am I echoing?
You were. Okay, what were you saying now? You carry with the light?
I don't carry with the light because I don't have a holster for it. But if I did with the Valkyrie, it would work perfectly.
Okay. I do carry a few guns with the TLR1, which is a really long light. And some people are like, why the hell do you carry that big light? I prefer a big light, but I have carried the TLR1 on 2 different pistols with holsters. They were made, and I'm sure a lot of these gentlemen do too, to where if something were to happen, you've got your pocket light and your pistol. You don't just want to start shooting down dark alleys when you don't even know what you're shooting at.
Right.
So.
What are you doing in a dark alley?
Just, hey, if you're having to get away from somebody, you never know where you'll end up, or if, something happens, you just don't know. And, hell, since I travel so much, I've actually gone into a restaurant where it's light outside, it's dusk, and I'll park and I'll see the street light or the, parking lot light. And I'll come out and my truck will be the one that the light didn't work, the overhead light. So I'm walking out and mine's out in the dark 40. So you never know who could be standing around your vehicle or what could be happening.
This little laser here.
Little
laser beam.
So that brings up a good point. We're talking about lights on pistols. Now, what is your preferred light? If you were going to carry on a pistol, what would be your preferred light and why? I meant size of light or brand of light, or, you want it really small and out of the way. What would you prefer?
I think that's why I do like the Valkyrie so much, because it's a very streamlined type of light. It's got a low profile, and I just think the way it fits on everything is perfect. Because I had I have a TLR3, And you had to use different attachments for depending on what the rail was. And I always felt that was a pain in the ass, so I never really used it on anything except for one gun. But with at least that Valkyrie, it works really well. And I just like the size of it. It's not too heavy, it's not too big and bulky, and it'll blind you, man. Look right into that light. It's gonna take your eyes out.
Yeah. What do you think, Nolan?
I guess as far as brand goes, I've always been a fan of the Streamlights. I've never tried their new compact one yet, but I've always been a fan of their TLR1 HLs and all that. But I did try out the APL-C, and although I only had it for a short time because it was borrowed, I didn't really get to shoot a bunch with it to see if it was going to hold up and all that. But I really like the buttons on it. I like the size of it and the weight of it. It seemed to work out really well. So as far as size goes, I like that one. But I've always been a fan of Streamlight products.
Yeah. What about you, KS?
Hang on a sec. Just Mateo was making a point about something. I'll try and bring that up, Mateo. But I'm not really brand dependent. I like quite a few different lights. I mean, I've got a Surefire XC1 that is usually on my home defense gun. Not saying that I like it better than other ones, but it just happens to be what I use. Because I like the Valkyries because they can pop in, pop off, whatever, and I can throw them on different guns and kind of play around with whatever. And so I like Olight, and then Streamlight. I mean, I like the TLR. Which one is it? The 3? That's the small. It's one of the smaller ones, and that's fine as well. I mean, I'm really not brand dependent again because I don't carry, so I'm not thinking as much about holsters. I think I have one holster that'll go with the XC1. But yeah, I'm not brand dependent. Anything above probably 500 or 600 lumens, and I'm not interested anymore. I know some people have been saying 1200 lumens and that sort of thing, and I get it. I understand that, and especially if you're outside or maybe you're on a farm or something, that makes a lot more sense. But for me here, anything super bright, and I run the chance of blinding myself down the hallway, which doesn't make any sense. So something like the Valkyrie or the Surefire or Streamlight, some of the smaller ones, those make sense to me, and I can light up what I want. Plus, I'm familiar with my own surroundings, and hopefully, I'm with it enough to be able to put 2 and 2 together and be able to get the job done if need be.
Yeah, and I mean, kind of talking about all this together, and also Harry sent me a text, and he can't leave comments. I don't know what's going on in the settings or whatever, and I apologize for that. We've got internet problems. So
let me ask you guys. Can I ask you a question real quick, guys? Is that right?
Yeah.
So, getting back to this whole having a light or not, especially inside the house, I don't know how many of you guys have tried this before, but one of the things that I had learned when I was a cadet in the fire academy, like a million years ago, was when you get into situations where you're like in a confined space or when you're just training, they usually put a mask, some sort of block over your eyes because you can't see anything in a fire anyway. And one of the things that I learned to do was just close my eyes and just walk around feeling and getting almost a tactile familiarity with the environment, So I wonder, how many of you guys do you do that at home where if it's pitch black, you just close your eyes because you don't want to rely on the eyes, because sometimes it'll play games with you even in the pitch black. But how many of you guys really do that? To kind of just poke around, feel around, and use that mental picture in your head of what your house, the floor plan is like. Because honestly, I think that's a great way also, especially if you're in a home invasion situation and you don't have a light, is the familiarizing yourself with the environment.
Yeah, I mean, let me answer the question too about the light real quick, and we can definitely come back to that. But one of the things that I like to do is as far as a preferred light, I like the light longer than the barrel. A lot of people don't like that, but if I ever have to gut check someone, stick the gun in their gut, I don't want it to knock out a battery. So I'd rather the flashlight be up against their gut and the gun be able to react. And another thing, I'm a lumen guru. I want all the lumens I can get because when you're walking either through your house, you don't have to face up to where you could hit a window. You can throw it at the ground, and if it has so much, it's going to light up the ground and it's going to flood around. So you can walk like this, and if any of us had to come up quickly to shoot an intruder once we know who they are, all you have to do is this. So that's kind of my belief behind it. And then we'll go back to your scenario. Yes, I have done that. 17, I've closed my eyes and kind of walked around my house, and it's definitely different when your eyes are closed, or if it's pitch black. You're kind of trying to figure out where the hell you are sometimes. What about you guys?
Nolan, what do you think?
About the dark walking?
Yep.
I guess I've never done that. purposely. I guess there have been times that, Ashley normally goes to bed before I do, and I'm not going to dare kick the lights on and wake her up. So there are times that I'll have lights off for about half the house going to bed, just so I don't wake her up or anything like that. So I guess I've got a part of the house memorized in the dark, but I guess I've never done it purposely, to get a feel for the layout of the house, but that's a very good idea, and I might give that a shot.
Yeah, do me a favor, videotape yourself doing it. So you get a good laugh.
I'll put my GoPro on.
Yeah, I just think it is a good way to kind of train your brain. I mean, everybody talks about training your muscle memory for your trigger finger and all this other stuff. But if you really want to be prepared, you've got to train for all situations. And that includes, let's say you have a light, but you didn't recharge it or the battery's done. Now you're in the dark. So now you've got to compensate for that. So what better way than to get your mind mentally ready for that?
What do you think, Cass? Have you ever done it?
In this particular house, no. Although, I'm sort of a firm believer of, in your own home, you begin to really identify with the layout of the house, and it becomes a little bit second nature because you're going to be walking around in a variety of different lighting settings, and you just by nature kind of get used to that route and the different routes and the time it takes you to go from one spot to another and that sort of thing. But to your point, 17, I mean, I think that's great discipline to get into for sure. For me, I've identified several places where they're kind of key locations, and there's an echo going on here. I don't know if it's me or somebody else, but anyway, I think they're key locations, at least in my house, where I can station myself and be prepared and be not evident to other people and just kind of be ready and that sort of thing without having to risk going too far, especially in the dark or anything like that. So I try and build in a lot of different alternatives and different scenarios to be able to handle those and expose myself the least amount possible in some sort of bad situation.
Now, one thing, walk around your house in the dark and try to find your way around. At least have on some boots, because you're probably going to stub your toe about 10 times. So, because I've done that many times. I've banged my toe and I'm like, and I even broke my toe one time doing that, and it was just a fluke, but it snapped my toe. So, and you can't do anything for a broken toe but tape it together. But any other questions? We're getting really close to calling it a night. Y'all got any other questions we've missed?
Jeff asked if Apex triggers are the way to go on an older Shield 9mm.
Yes. Yep. I've actually got videos on it on I have a Shield 1.0, and along with mixing the Apex kit and the factory kit, I've got it down to 3 pounds, and you don't have to have it this light, but I've got it down to like 3 pounds, 6 ounces, and it's awesome. It is an awesome trigger. Anything Apex makes is awesome, but if you just put the standard kit in it, I think you'll get it down to about 5 pounds, maybe like 4.7 pounds. And that's really nice. Great tactile feel and reset. What do you guys think?
I agree. Apex is the way to go for sure.
I agree.
I would agree with that too. I would add, though, I mean, I prefer to stick with the duty springs. So that's going to keep the trigger a little bit heavier. That's a personal thing, especially because my guns are carry guns. And although I'm no shame going to 4.5 pounds, 5 pounds on a carry gun. That doesn't bother me a bit. I know there are some people, and I've had people leave comments. I won't go under 6 pounds or 6.5 or 7 or whatever, which is fine. I mean, it's all personal preference. There's nothing wrong with that either. But I kind of draw the line around 4.5 pounds or so. That's where I feel reasonably comfortable. But it's your safety's up here, and fundamentals and training, all that kind of stuff. And you just hope that you never run into the situation. And if you do, that calmer heads or smoother heads will prevail. But Apex all the way, 100%.
Yeah, and while we're talking about, we would like to recognize the sponsor, Apex.
Yeah.
No, they have great products.
Royalty checks.
Yeah, no, I wish, but they do. I mean, they do have great products. And honestly, I've never ever had a problem with an Apex trigger. I have with other brands, but have y'all ever had a problem with an Apex trigger that you remember?
No. The one thing I wish maybe Apex would look into, and I don't know if they would do it just because of, price and cost and everything, but, I like the Glock triggers because they come with the shoe and the trigger bar already attached. You know, I would wish that at some point on the 2.0s, maybe they'd look into doing the same setup for that, because, you know, there are some people out there that aren't exactly, you know, gunsmithing savvy. And, you know, I'm not an expert either. I've done all my triggers from Apex on my MMPs myself, and I know Nolan has as well. And, you know, there's a bit of pain in the ass a little bit when you're trying to push that pin through.
It's awful.
It depends, because when it comes from the factory, sometimes they don't push out enough, so it doesn't lock in place with the trigger bar. So, you know, I just wish maybe sometimes they'd think about that, maybe charging a higher price if they looked at it from that standpoint, or something of that sort. But who knows?
Yeah. Any other final questions that we can grab before we cut it off? See anything?
I haven't seen any.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't see anything that really
right.
pops out. No offense to anybody.
Yeah, yeah, it pops out.
They
we'll
want to
go
turn this
ahead
into Four Guys Gun Chat with Nolan as the fourth guy.
yeah.
Heck yeah.
Well, we'll go ahead and say our goodbyes. You know, go ahead, Nolan. We'll let you do your outro. And what you got coming up on your channel?
Well, as most of you guys know, I'm freshly back, so I don't have a whole lot coming out as of right now. I do have a video coming out tomorrow showing some different holsters and some different setups for a Glock 19, but you know, the company puts out for all other holsters. So I do have that coming out. I'm going to hopefully get to the range this coming weekend to get some more videos coming. So I'm kind of getting back in the swing of things a little bit after my long over 2-month break. So content's going to be coming. I don't have any plans or anything exciting to say right now, but I'm going to keep the content coming.
Good. 17?
Well, I sent my information over to the sheriff's office, so probably in the next 3 years I'll have the APX, which I'm really excited about. I still haven't shot the 19X, just been crazy busy this time of the year. So next week I'm going to get out and shoot that bad boy. And I also have something else coming up, but it is not, and it has nothing to do with guns at all, which is kind of interesting. So I'm going to see where that goes. I may actually start doing little videos on this new thing that I'm looking at and doing, and seeing where that takes me. It's pretty interesting.
Cool. What about you, KS?
Quite a bit coming up. A couple of If I Could Only Have Ones, some new guns to the channel, a couple of conversation videos that I've been pondering for a while. I need to get that goat guns video out there. I've had that kind of sitting around on the table for a while, so I feel bad about that. But yeah, a lot of stuff coming up. And it's just if and when I can get it all put together. So it'll be a busy couple of months.
Can I just add one last thing, Big John?
No, you may not. No.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Go
Who's
ahead.
hosting this? So I think I may be acquiring the rifle of all rifles very soon, but I cannot say what it is. But I will tell you, it is a rifle that I honestly will probably sleep with.
Wow. Okay. Can't wait for that. I don't want to see you sleeping with it, but I can't wait to see what it is.
Look, in a plutonic way, sleep with
Okay.
it.
Yeah, sure. Okay. We know what goes on. Well, I've, you know, as y'all all know, and of course you three guys have been on it for a long time, but I actually found Instagram. I finally got on it. I've been very active on it, having a blast on it, and releasing a lot of kind of behind the scenes stuff and stuff that I've been testing for a while that I haven't even done videos on. And, you know, I do a lot of testing where I don't want to just say, hey, I got it, you know, and because some of it, it's not that big of a deal. But so I'm throwing it up on there. So if you have Instagram and you want to follow me, it's Big Johnson, Guns and Gear, you know, all lowercase, all smashed together. And some stuff, a lot of sneak peek stuff on that. I've got some big items that I'll be throwing up and throwing videos on, and I'll be throwing on Instagram first. And also I've got 2 competitions this weekend. Saturday is the World of Guns, and then Sunday is a USPSA event, and it will be my first red dot event, carry optics. So I'm pretty excited about it. And there will be a special guest there. Y'all will all find out who that's going to be if he doesn't talk about it first. And in our squad, we have like 3 open grandmasters, and also, what's her name? Gabby Franco from Top Shot will be in my squad also. So, man, I'm going to get to see some serious pros running guns. So I'll try to get video of that. And of course, you know, they'll be running and gunning and I'll be walking and waddling. But, you know, I'm going to go out and have a great time. And, you know, I'm excited about it. So that's what I've got coming up. So as always, we appreciate y'all for joining us so much. please like, share, and subscribe to all of us, all the other people out in the chats. We definitely appreciate it so much, and we appreciate it. Next Wednesday, it's going to be on Whose Chat. Whose Chat is it next Wednesday?
Gonna be fine. I will definitely have nothing next Wednesday to do. So if it's mine,
Okay.
we're golden.
All right.
Sweet.
Well, we'll go ahead.
No, we're good.
We'll definitely get it out and let y'all know whose it is. It might be 17's, but we appreciate y'all jumping in on this one. And y'all all have a great night. Carry on.
Oh, one last thing before you get by. I didn't tell you guys yet, but we do have a guest for next week, and you guys are not going to believe who it is. So
Okay.
I don't know if I'm frozen or what.
do you want to know who it is?
No, we really don't.
Yes or no? Do you want to know?
Yeah, who's the guest?
It's Mr. Guns and Gear.
Heck of a
Really?
deal.
No, I'm just totally joking on that one.
You're such a dick. Hey, listen, real quick. Well,
I wish
everybody,
you guys could have seen your face.
that 1776 is an ass. Nolan, again, it's great to have you back, man. We really appreciate you joining
And
us.
if you guys can hear me, I don't know if it's on my end or if it's on your end, but I can't hear anything you guys are saying.
Uh-oh.
It must be on your end.
Okay, I was gonna say, well, I have no clue what you said at the end of the video. I don't even know if we're still live or what.
No, you're
Yeah,
still
we're
live, man.
live. We're live.
Oh, okay, because
So-
I can't hear a word you guys are saying. It must be on my end then.
Yeah, we're gonna have Mr.
I was
Guns and
watching
Gear next
everybody,
week.
nobody was moving. I was like, man, someone's frozen. It must be me.
Yep.
I apologize.
we're
I have no
alive.
clue what you guys have said.
Okay. Well, good to see y'all. I appreciate everyone tuning in for us for the Big Guys Gun Chat, and we will see y'all next week. So carry on, everyone.
Bye,
Yeah,
guys.
Thanks,
Take care.
everybody.
Good night.